Good morning, it's Brad here at 100Servings. After a long night of fighting with my computer and trying to stream stuff off of YouTube and having all kinds of technical issues, I decided to call it a night and got up this morning, decided, well, I haven't had my coffee, I'm really frustrated and tired, so let's make a video. So, anyways, there was a big announcement yesterday for Soul Hackers 2 to come out, and a lot of people are out there kind of scratching their heads saying, what exactly does that mean? They didn't play the first one, they don't know anything about the franchise, so we're going to answer a few of those questions today, but we're going to start off just by watching the US version of the trailer. It is in Japanese with subtitles, so get used to it. At this point, we actually don't have any kind of confirmation that there is going to be an English dub of this, okay, and you have to keep in mind, Atlus has released their games here in the US without an English dub. The biggest one of those was Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Now I understand why they did that, and they had a really good reason for it, but just keep in mind that this game may come out without an English dub. So just kind of be ready for that. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and roll with our trailer here. Ringu, by the way, actually means apple, not ring. Again, this is actually coming out from Atlus, so. Kind of seeing some of the open world elements and whatnot from SMT5, SMT4. Could be open world like that, could be more like Persona. We don't really know. It really looks more like Persona than anything else to me. A lot of freaky imagery here. And we actually see her summon her devils and put them in combat all at once. Alright, and we got a title card drop there for Soul Hackers 2. So, the first Soul Hackers, I've actually written down a whole book full of notes here as far as information on this franchise, just for us to know. The first Soul Hackers was actually a spin-off of the Devil Summoner series, so it should actually say, you know, Devil Summoners Soul Hackers 2, but for whatever reason it doesn't. First Devil Summoner came out on December 25th, 1995 on the Sega Saturn, relaunched on the PSP on December 20th, 2005. We got neither of those versions here in the US. The original Devil Summoner has never released in the United States. So, Soul Hackers released on the Saturn November 13th, 1997. So, Soul Hackers is now looking at its 25th anniversary. That's why this game is coming out now, as far as we know. It came out on the PS1, or originally on the Saturn, then came out on the PS1 April 8th, 1999, and then on the 3DS in Japan on August 30th, 2012. And then here in the US on the 3DS, April 16th, 2013. So, the original Soul Hackers is available in the United States in English without a patch on the 3DS. Why is this significant? Well, the 3DS Marketplace will be closing down in March of 2023. So you can still purchase it through the Marketplace for the next year. Okay, so if you want to play the first Soul Hackers before going into this, you still have that opportunity. So that's a pretty good thing right there. So the next big thing is, when is this coming out? Okay, so we got 8/26/2022. That's a big deal because it's launching in Japan on 8/25/2022. So we're basically getting a simultaneous US and Japan release. This is another reason why we may or may not get a dub, because effectively they've got, let's say 6 months to get this dub finished and out the door with the final product. Okay, might happen, might not. Okay, and one of the other big debate points that we're running into is Atlas is releasing this on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One, Windows, and Steam. So it might even be available through Game Pass for those people that have, Xbox Game Pass every month. One thing that's a glaring absence is Nintendo Switch. Okay, and there's a lot of theories behind that as far as hardware and whatever else. And the question is, what engine does this run on? We don't know. SMT5 ran on, or Shin Megami Tensei 5 ran on Unreal 4. Okay, there's been rumors that Soul Hackers 2 runs on the Tokyo Mirage Sessions engine. It might run on any other number of engines out there. So technically they should still be able to run on Switch. I personally, my theory, and I've got nothing to base this on, is the fact that Sony and Microsoft were willing to pay to get Soul Hackers on their systems. Okay, the reality is Nintendo is selling Switches without having Soul Hackers 2 on them. They don't really need it. They've got SMT5 exclusive. They've got Tokyo Mirage Sessions exclusive on there now. Okay, because, yeah, I've got the Wii U version. I don't have the Switch version. But as far as PS4 and especially PS5 and the Xbox, they do need JRPGs to stay relevant in Japan. Okay, yeah, the Xbox is selling better now than it was with the original console, but the reality is it's still struggling in Japan. So they got to do what they got to do. At the same time, PS5 isn't really getting, unique and hard-hitting titles that aren't first party. Okay, so yeah, we've got the new Horizon Zero Dawn, but Soul Hackers 2 would be a big title for PS4, PS5 going forward. So, again, big stuff. This is significant, so we're all pretty happy about it. Other information. The original Soul Hackers was set in a place called Amami City, which was a fictitious city in future Japan, near future Japan, and the whole thing revolved around an online game called Paradigm X that was supposed to connect all the residents of the city. So, of course, Paradigm X was infested with demons and had a lot of interesting mechanics. Now, some of the things that people aren't used to that were in the the Devil Summoner games is magnetite. Okay, the older games in Shin Megami Tensei, in order for demons to manifest in the physical world, they had to have a material called magnetite. Okay, and every step that you took with those demons summoned, it consumed magnetite. If you ran out of magnetite, demons would take damage until they disappeared. Okay, you could get magnetite from trading for it, you could get it from fighting, and any number of sources. So it's just something else that had to be managed. Okay, we haven't had to deal with that in a long time, ever since Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. In Nocturne, they kind of threw all those mechanics out the window. Nocturne was a huge step forward, and also now that we've had Shin Megami Tensei 5 come out in November, it also doesn't deal with magnetite at all. But to be fair, you're not manifesting demons in the real world, you're effectively bringing them into DOT, which is kind of their natural environment for living in. So it's not that big of a deal. The other thing is as you look at the weapons that everybody's holding, they're shaped kind of like guns, but the reality is what they are is they're computers. And they all have the devil summoning program installed on them. If you want to know where that comes from, that's a whole nother can of worms that I'm not getting into this morning. So, anyways, the devil summoning program allows them to summon and control demons. Now, the flip side of this is they aren't exactly willing to do this. So you're going to have to bribe and negotiate with them to get them onto your devices. Then at the same time, there was the issue of loyalty. Now, with the Devil Summoner games, you had to give orders to these devils to actually do what you wanted, and they would kind of act within their nature, okay? Good healing type, nurturing type spirits are going to be more likely to want to heal than attack. Attacking type spirits are not going to want to do healing. Now, in the trailer there, we didn't see any of, demons in the party as far as we can tell. The other funny thing is that these computers can be built into just about anything. In the original Devil Summoner, Kyoji Kuzunoha had his turned into a gun. There was another character who his computer was built into a Bible. So just because you see them carrying a gun or carrying those, knives or scythes or a sword or whatever, doesn't mean that they're not still using a computer. So that could be a factor as well. In fact, if we go over to the other footage that they released, we can see a better example of that. So this was the original video that they put out yesterday morning when they premiered the footage of the game. This is kind of a hilarious Super Sentai type thing. I included it because I was a theater guy in high school. I built sets, I did lighting, I worked with costuming and makeup. Okay, I also perform musicals and whatever like that. So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, this is kind of fun because you don't really see these live action events like this here in the US. And here we see Ringu coming out here in a really snazzy jacket and doing some Go-Go Power Rangers stuff. So anyways, I like it. When we start looking at the Devil Summoner games as opposed to some of the other games in the franchise, they're a lot more cyberpunk, they're a lot more problem solving than necessarily embarking on this huge quest. When you look at Devil Summoner Raido Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army, and also Raido Kuzunoha versus King Abaddon, Raido works at a detective agency, and he generally solves problems. Okay, same with the first Devil Summoner. Kyoji is a detective who solves problems. So we might see a little bit more of that. We might see this go a different way. I love here where you can see they backlighted the camera crew. Anyways, I would like to see a game move a little bit more that way than the grand quest like we had in Shin Megami Tensei 5. I'd really prefer to see people more along the lines of, I'm kind of an everyday person trying to solve problems in my community. The other thing is we didn't see any demons there. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're not summoning these things into their weapons or anything like that. So we'll have to see how some of this plays out. And again, at this point, all we've got is basically a name drop and a trailer. And a promise that this game's going to be out in 6 months, which it may or may not be. So, are we optimistic? Yes. Okay, because again, this is a big announcement, and one of the other big questions that's been going on is at the same time, this is the 25th anniversary of the Persona franchise. And so everybody's been asking, are we going to see a remake of Persona 3? Are we going to see a remake of Persona 1 and 2? Are we going to see the PSP versions re-released? We haven't heard anything about it, and now that we're seeing that Soul Hackers 2 is being released, we can probably rest assured that none of those projects are going on. Atlas is not a huge company. They don't have a whole lot of manpower, and of course, you're developing a game in the middle of a pandemic. So this is probably all we're getting for this year. Okay, they released Shin Megami Tensei 5 last year. They're releasing Soul Hackers 2, and this is probably what we're getting from them for the next year. Could that change? Sure. I mean, you have to keep in mind, in the early 2000s, we got Nocturne, Persona 3, Persona 4, we got the DS games, we got the 3DS games. We got a lot from Atlas in, a really relatively short period of time. Are we coming back into that era? I don't know. It depends on a lot of factors, the least of which is how easy it is to program. I showed this to my 6-year-old yesterday morning, and he just about lost it, but he's a big Power Rangers fan and enjoys martial arts, so. I saw a lot of people online saying this is really cringy, this is really silly, and everything like that. And on one hand, yeah, it is, but on the other hand, I mean, these are professionals. I mean, they've got to do all this choreography. This was occurring live in Japan at about 8 p.m. And of course, my frame rate is going to go to not very good at this point. I could understand if this was recorded in a studio and everything else, but no, this is occurring in a live location, outdoors. Any number of things could go wrong. So I give them a lot of credit. They did a pretty good job. I also think the effects on the jacket is pretty cool. There's other footage that we've seen of the game where you can see that jacket kind of flashing and doing cool stuff. So, anyways, we could watch this whole thing, but if you're really curious, you can watch it on Atlas's official webpage and stream. So, credit all goes to them. Otherwise, I got a lot of other things to get to today. One of the big ones is Monarch is going to release, so I intend to do an unboxing on that. We're also looking at probably maybe even playing a little bit more Monarch. The big one that I'm kind of questioning is, what all are they including with that? And I guess we'll find that out when I do an unboxing later. So, because it's one thing for the early reviewers to get a review code and to say, I don't think this game is worth $60. It's another thing to actually have it in your hand and be able to say, this isn't $60 worth of content. So, we'll see how that goes. And this was the moment that everybody kind of started losing their minds, because right here we get our card drop. Soul Hackers 2. Again, we'd been seeing some images from Soul Hackers. We saw a gun comp and everything like that leading up to this, but we really weren't sure that that was actually coming out or not. So, anyways, I am taking off for the day, and I will hopefully see you all later.